Okay, we are recording. We are live, or we are whatever you want to call this. Hi, it's Mr. Rodriguez, and I am here in my room, in the actual classroom, right? Curious what my classroom looks like. Finally got a mounted projector. That's huge. That's money, big money, right? So I'm pretty happy. Okay, let's get started. So what I want to do today with this recorded lecture video is to go a little bit more in depth with longitude and latitude. Okay, now if you feel like, I'm going to take this mask off, but when you're in the class, always have a mask on, always, okay? It's very important. Mask on. It's not a political statement. Okay, so what I want to go over are just certain details, very specific things that hopefully will clarify any questions that you may have or may still have even after doing the homework or reviewing our recorded lecture when I first taught this in our Zoom session. Full screen this. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So hopefully I can help clear some of that up. So let's get to it, right? I don't want to spend too much time on nonsense. Right? Let's go right at it. First thing that we need to do, right, is figure out, like Mr. Rodriguez, like I don't know whether to use north, south, east, west, or any of that, right? I don't know when to write them down or whether I should or stuff like that. Let me explain to you guys, right? Let me explain to you one thing, which is to always separate, right? This is not the most accurate scale to use when doing latitude and longitude. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. It is, right? If we're looking at a world map, right? If we're looking at a world map, this is what you will find, as well as other hundreds, not hundreds, I don't know, just so many other lines written out on the board or on a map or whatever, right? I can't fully display a map like I wanted to because the projector got mounted, so I can't mess with it anymore. Oh well. Okay, so first thing we gotta know, okay, is figure out whether we're gonna be using north, south, east, or west. Now let me give you kind of like the key or like the hint, the tip, whatever, again, what you want to call it, to figure out when to use that, right? Okay, so we need to split these up, right? We get 4 corners, right? 4 sections, 4 quadrants, right? So we'll have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Okay, that is what we should all see and refer to the world, right? We'll always have these different little quadrants. Quadrant 1 will always be north, east. Quadrant 2 will always be north, west. Quadrant 3 will be, oh, whoops, see, I messed up already. South, west, and quadrant 4 will be south, east. Well, I look back and I realize that it's perfectly, like the map is perfectly wrapped around the screen. Okay, whatever. I got excited about that for no reason. So whenever we find a point, right, let's say that this point is somewhere around right here, right? You see the point A is right there. We should always know that, oh, look, it's in quadrant 4, so we should know that it is southeast. If we see something that's like over here, right, we will always know that it's going to be northwest because it is in this top left section. This is where you'll find our country, right? This is like the worst looking United States, right? That's Florida. That's supposed to be Texas and New England. I know it's terrible. But anytime you look at a map of the United States, right, it will always be up in this location, in this quadrant, right? Our country's not moving, right? It doesn't move between places. So anytime you see coordinates that say northwest, okay, you will know that we're talking about either our country or any other parts of North America, any other country that's surrounding ours, right? It will always be northwest, and I think northeast will be Europe and Asia. Southeast is like Australia and like Africa, and southwest, like the only continent you'll find here is South America, like half of it, like maybe like 70% of South America will be found in the southwest region. All right. So that's the first thing we got to know, is whether they're north, south, east, or west. And to know right away without having to really think about it, again, if you just know your quadrants, that quadrant 1 is northeast, quadrant 2 is northwest, quadrant 3 southwest, and quadrant 4 southeast. Okay, so once you have that down, you'll know exactly where to look for certain locations. Okay, you'll know exactly which point it's going to be. So if I ask you, find this like say like find me 20 degrees south, or just kidding, 20 degrees, let's do, oh, excuse me, whoa, north and negative 60 degrees west, okay? So right off the bat, without having to think about like, okay, I got all these little other points all over the place, I don't know where to look, oh my God, there's so many, which one could it be, right? I know that it's northwest, so it has to be one of these, right? Everything else, you have to ignore everything else, because since I'm looking for, you can see that right there. I realized I didn't write that on the screen. I mean on the board, so the screen could see 20 degrees, 60 degrees west. Right there, right off the bat, I should know that it's going to be one of these two. Right? But now that I wrote that, right, this negative number, that's the next step we got to know, the next thing, which is what are my negative numbers? Notice how we have we have this set of numbers and we have this other one, okay? Anything on the north side, anything all in the northern hemisphere. By the way, this ruler is my ruler. You'll always see this in my hand. I think I started using it since like the first, time I started working here. I don't know why, but I'm attached to this ruler because I'm weird that way. So anytime that is in this section, all of this, they will all be, let me use a different color. They will all be positive numbers. Anything on the side will be a positive number. Okay, so north is positive, making south, as you can see, negative. Right? All these numbers will be negative numbers. But now I'm just talking about for my latitude lines. A reminder about latitude lines is that latitude lines are the numbers. I know when talking about lines, they're the lines that go sideways. Okay? They go sideways. But because they go sideways, they're going up or down. So my numbers are the ones that are going to be going up or down. Never confuse the numbers. Okay? You may have the right numbers, right, the right coordinates. You may have the exact same, I mean, you have the correct directions, but if they're not written correctly, right, they're not formatted as they should be in the right order, they will be wrong, okay? So for your latitude line, if you get something that is higher than a 90, right, then you're using the wrong numbers. Same thing for longitude, right? Actually, it doesn't really much apply to longitude, mixing those up, but it's easier to know that if you get anything higher than a 90 for latitude, you're using the wrong numbers, okay? So now that that's made clear, hopefully you'll know exactly which numbers you got to use. And, you know, just to also mention, longitude lines, right? Since those are the lines that are going upwards, they're the numbers that go sideways, right? You get this one set of numbers that go from 0 to 180. Then you also have these numbers that go from 0 to 180. Should I use the same color for this? All right, so all these numbers up here are going to be positive. All these numbers down here are going to be negative for latitude, while all of these numbers going this way, going east, all of these will be positive. Draw a little closer. All of that will be positive, while on the west side, all of that will be negative. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. But just know that there are two sets of numbers. You'll have a positive and a negative. And all of that depends on which side of the map, the scale you are in. Okay? So let me kind of edit these now, right? So again, anytime it's a not north or east, both my numbers are going to be positive numbers, right? So positive, positive. You don't need to mention the positive, these little plus signs when they're positive. There's just no need. They're only needed when they are negative, right? So quadrant 1, both numbers positive. Quadrant 2, you get your positive latitude, positive north, but you also get, I mean, your negative number for west. Draw a little closer. Okay. Your west number is going to be negative because they fall under these sets of numbers. Again, my east is positive, west is negative. So if I go below that, right, now I'm in the southern hemisphere, right? That's southern section. We're hemisphere meaning half of the earth. So pretend we're looking at the map of the earth right now. Anything that is below here in the southern hemisphere is going to be these negative numbers. Right? Remember, my south is my latitude. So that's going to be negative. But we're also in the western hemisphere. We're also in that western hemisphere, which is also, as we've already said, is negative. So we get a point that is right here, right? So let's say that I get a point that's located about right here. And you tell me either one of these. You say, okay, cool, negative 30. Let's make up a number. Let's say that that's like, oh, okay, 60. Okay. There we go. That's right, right? Look, negative 30, I'm in the south. 60, I'm in the west. Okay, cool. That's incorrect. Okay, that's incorrect because there is no negative. I mean, there is no positive 60 west, right? That's not a real thing. That's not a real spot. So we gotta switch that up, right? Or we just gotta say that it is negative 60 because that makes a lot more sense. Okay. Or if you completely forget about the negative numbers, you're telling me a completely different location, right? So that's what I'm saying, that it matters when you include those negative signs. Okay. So once we move over to quadrant 4, we're still in the southern hemisphere. We're still down here. So my south is still negative, but we're no longer on the west side now, right? We're back in the east. And as we already said, east is positive, or actually east is positive. Positive, positive, or I mean positive and negative, we get negative south and positive east. I hope I really didn't confuse there. I mean, anybody in that moment right there, because I know I got mixed up as well. So let me just say again, right? Quadrant 4, you get negative south, because we're using these numbers. These numbers are negative, but we're using positive east, because we're using these numbers. Right? We're using these numbers, which are positive. Okay, and once we go back up here to quadrant 1, you get positive north, but you also get positive east. So you'll know that all these numbers right here will be positive. See, so you see kind of how it's like a cycle, right? Both positives, but then one of them switches, then both switch, and one switches back, and now we're back where we started, right? I'm talking about when they switch over to positive or negative. Okay, so those are two important things that we need to understand. First, once you do these things, the rest is simple. The rest is all you gotta do is just follow the lines. You'll get your numbers. You'll know how to format it. And then you should be done. Simple. All right, let me erase this. Okay, so let me remove all of this stuff. Okay. All right, so I've already drawn this dot right here, because I want to go over this whole thing that is like the 0, right? What do I do when it is a 0? The first thing we got to know is it the latitude or the longitude that is 0? Figure that out is we need to figure out what point, which number the point is on. So if I'm looking at this, I know that it's negative 60. This is my latitude, so I know that it's at least negative 60, right? Negative, because I'm in the south. South is negative degrees south. But my longitude line, though, right? It's not on anything. So my longitude is just going to be 0. My longitude is going to be 0 because it's not on either of these sides, right? We know it's in the southern side, southern hemisphere, but it's neither on the eastern or it's on the western side. So it's 0. Unless it's like the point is right here, literally right here, which is known as the null point. When it's null, it means that it's just 0, 0. And in the actual, like in the world, the 0, 0, like when you look at a map, it's actually a tiny little island called Null Island, where it's just like, it's literally the center of the Earth. When we look at a map, when we look at a certain map, it's like right in the middle. It is kind of like the middle of the whole planet, I guess. It's just like a tiny little island right underneath Africa. Okay. Now, one last thing I want to go over, an important detail, right, that I don't think I really hit on. If if I get a point, oh, excuse me, what a burp. If I get a point that's like right here. Okay, this is my new point A. Okay, as we should already know, all we gotta do is follow the line. Right, let me get rid of this. Right, if I just go down, okay, I know my longitude is 30. What am I doing here? Okay, 30 degrees east, right? So I should have known right away. Okay, I know that it's north and east, so it's 30 degrees east, right? They're both positive numbers. And now my latitude line, okay, if I follow it, okay, takes me right here to a section, to an area that does not have its own line. This is where you would have to make your best educated guess as to what coordinate that is. Unless that map has all the numbers listed out, then it's easy. Then you'll know exactly which line it's going towards, or which number the line is going towards. Here, we don't have that. But what we do have is this 40 and 50, right? Because it goes between those numbers. But also we have that line right in the middle. So we can safely assume that that number is, and this right here is 45, right? So now we have two different sets of numbers, right? Now we know that it's not between 40 and 50, but it's actually between 50 and 45. It looks like it's going right towards the middle between 45 and 50. So now that's kind of where you have to think, okay, if it's right between 45 and 50, what number could that be? If it's between 45 and 50. Again, I know that it's north, degrees north, but what's the coordinate? There are many things you can do. You can like draw your own little lines. Right, so I know it's 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, right? So you get four smaller numbers between here. So you can either say that if it's right down the middle, it could be 45, 46, it could be 47, or it could be 48. Right? Both answers would be technically correct. And you know why? Why both would be considered correct? Because this is what actual latitude and longitude coordinates look like. They're not whole numbers like this. What they actually look like is something like, let's say if we were to take this example, maybe that right there, the latitude line, the real answer could probably be like 47 degrees, 6843, right? Decimals, degrees north, and the longitude line could probably be like, the real answer could probably be like 29.8977 degrees east. That's what actual longitude and latitude line coordinates look like, right? And if you're really trying to find a location, if you look up your house, if you look up like on Google Images and type in your address and try to find longitude and latitude, like you will get these small, very specific coordinates. So what the longer, I mean, like the larger the scale, like a larger area, if you're looking up the longitude, latitude of the United States, the number could probably be a little smaller, right? Maybe not as many decimals, but the closer you look to a specific area, you will have a very, very specific number, coordinate, probably more decimals than that. So that's why the answer of 4748 would make sense. If you say that it's like, that it's 50, if you say that it's 50, that doesn't make any sense because, again, we're talking about an area that is right here, it's not on 50, so it can't be 50. Right? And that's how I get my coordinates. So yeah, you would have to make your best guess to know exactly kind of what that latitude or even longitude line it could be. All right. So those are my extra tips and you know, not ideas, but you know, extra information that hopefully you guys will use to make sure that we get this latitude, longitude stuff down. Okay. So biggest takeaways. Okay. Biggest thing is 1, know your quadrant. Okay. Know your quadrant. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where is it? 2. Is it north? Actually, just kidding. Because number 1 already should tell you whether if it's going to be north, south, east, or west. Okay, that you should already know. I'm pretty sure I can mix all that up. Is it a positive or negative number? Okay, that's the next thing we should be trying to understand, right? Okay, first, my quadrant. 2, is it positive or negative? And 3, last thing that we should, actually, no, there's a 4th one, right? A 0 is neither north, south, east, west. Okay, whenever you get a 0, it's neither of those, right? Because it's neither. It's not on any half or any side. And the last one is to make your best guess. Okay, make your best guess for your coordinate numbers. Right, make your best guess for lat, long, number. Actually, no, I don't want us to use numbers. I want us to use the term coordinates, right? That is in fact an A. Probably already tell them my handwriting's probably not that great, which is good that we're doing remote learning now. Okay, let's wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys understand exactly what I mean by the latitude and longitude lines. And if you still have any questions, please let me know. Shoot me an email or a message, and yeah, we'll work together on it and get it down, right? Answer any specific questions you may have. Okay. See y'all.